Welcome to our presentation of Good Woman by Bertolt Brecht, script and story. Today's presentation is presented by Group 12. Our presentation today will contain story synopsis, production pitch, and production components.
The logline of Good Woman is, after Shen Ti, a kind-hearted prostitute, helps three gods in disguise, she is rewarded with 1,000 silver dollars that she buys a tobacco shop with. When her neighbors realize that she has suddenly come upon some money that they want to take advantage of, will she be able to maintain her morals and her business, or will she have to change into a completely different person in order to save herself?
Script. Continuous movement throughout the show. No moment where there's no one on stage. Pauses that occur within the script happen during a scene change. The genre of this play is realism with magic. Realism because it is set in a realistic world, and magic connecting to the gods.
This is the story for Good Woman Act 1. Shui Ta shows up and takes control of the tobacco shop. Shui Ta takes care of all of the people leeching off of Shen Ti. Shui Ta and the policemen decide to put out an ad for a suitable husband for Shen Ti, and Shu Fu takes interest. Mrs. Shen warns Shui Ta that Shen Ti has been talking to Yang Sun, an unemployed pilot. Yang Sun then shows up at the shop. Yang Sun stops to talk to Shen Ti. Yang Sun convinces Shui Ta to sell the stock in the shop so he can pursue his piloting career, but he has no intentions of being with Shen Ti. Shui Ta is furious when he finds out that he sold his stock for nothing, and Mrs. Miyatsu goes to get Shu Fu so he can marry Shen Ti instead. Shen Ti shows up and says that she wants to hear Shifu out, but Yang Sun manipulates her. Yang Sun and Shen Ti celebrate their marriage, but Yang Sun is waiting for the money from Shui Ta, who never shows. Good Woman continues with Act 2. Yang Sun and Shen Ti's marriage is never legitimized because Shui Ta never shows up with the money. Shu Fu hears of this and stops by to give Shen Ti a blank check that she can fill out for any amount. Mrs. Shin advises that Shen Ti save her shop quickly or she will become destitute. Shen Ti finds out that she is pregnant and gets excited. Shen Ti decides to bring back Shui Ta to save her shop for her child. Shui Ta saves her shop and builds even more of a business, all the while nobody has seen Shen Ti. Yang Sun accuses Shui Ta of keeping Shen Ti in the back room of the shop. The police find no evidence of Shen Ti except her clothes, and they arrest Shui Ta for murder. Shui Ta stands on trial and reveals that he has been Shen Ti in disguise all along in front of the judges that turn out to be the gods that gifted the shop in the first place. Shen Ti tries to repent her sins while she was Shui Ta, but the gods just tell her that she is a good woman and ascend into the heavens.
The Good Woman focuses on capitalism and how money and power can affect someone's personality and relationships with others. The protagonist of the story, Shen Ti, and her relationships with others feel a great strain after she is gifted money and thus power from the gods. In order to survive in a capitalist Suzanne, Shen Ti must go against her morals and ignore the needs of others to keep her business afloat. This is why she invents and takes on the persona of her cousin Shui Ta, so she can make tough decisions at the expense so Shen Ti can have the means to do good. Having to choose selfishness, and selflessness in order to survive in a capitalist society is a universal struggle, so Suzanne will represent Islam that is both everywhere and nowhere to show the audience what capitalism forcing people to do and selfishness time and time again can create.
The main point of the costumes in our production is to show a great divide between those who have money and those who do not, as well as disorient the audience as the setting of the play is meant to be in a far-off land. Wong is a poor water seller. He is a swindler as shown by his cups with false bottoms. Wong still believes in the gods and finds a place for them. He is a nervous coward with decent intentions and he sees the gods in his dreams. His costume will be an ill-fitting suit comprised of pieces from several different blue suits sewn together. One pant leg should be shorter than the other, and the end should be frayed. His costume should look dirty and worn because he is poor. Because he is a water seller, his costume will also be designed to catch and carry rainwater. His shoes will have shot glasses sitting on the toes. He will have a large water jug on his back, and several flasks/jugs he has found in the slums draped around him. The clanging sound of the flasks bumping against each other should add to the nervous energy of his character when he moves.
Shen Ti, a good-hearted prostitute turned tobacco shop owner, is the protagonist of the story. She does many good deeds throughout the play and because of this is taken advantage of. The first costume shown is what she will wear before the gods give her money. She's a poor prostitute, so she will wear a dress and a corset made of whatever material she could find. Her second costume is what she will wear after she has bought the shop. To show she is no longer among the homeless citizens in poverty. She wears a suit as she is a businesswoman, but the suit shall have a skirt and a flowing cut to show her femininity, so her costume is not too close to Shui Ta's. The third outfit is her wedding gown. Shui Ta is Shente's cousin to the rest of the characters in the play, but Shente and the audience know him to be the persona that Shente came up with and portrays in order to get respect from the other townspeople as a business person and to get what she needs. Shui Ta should look as though he has money. He should also look like a businessman, so we will put him in an emerald suit with gold tie and gold accents. Seen as Shui Ta is Shente in disguise, part of Shui Ta's costume is a mask with a mustache and bushy eyebrows that leave the mouth and chin free and visible to the audience. The mask, shown here, was taken from photos of a production of The Good Woman, directed by Felix Ivanov.
To further convey how universal the problems capitalism causes are, the costumes the gods will wear will be influenced by gods from mythology throughout history and the world. At the start of the play, Wong sees the three gods and delivers the line, "Old-fashioned clothes, dust on their feet, but they must be gods," which is why the gods will be wearing clothes rooted in cultures from long ago. Yang Sun is introduced to us as a young man in rags. The prostitutes recognize him as the unemployed pilot. Shente meets him when he's about to hang himself in the park because he is so unhappy with his life in poverty. He wants a job as a male pilot more than anything else. Shente falls in love with him and is still in love with him even after his true colors show. Because Yang Sun is introduced to us as a man in rags and he complains of being poor, we will also dress him like a homeless person who has fitted himself with whatever pieces of clothing he could find. Because he is not concerned with selling some sort of product, he is not wearing a suit or trying to look professional. To make this costume cohesive with the rest of the costume partially made of trash, part of his costume should be made of brochures for flights to other places, because he's a pilot. This costume will also include dirty pilot's goggles, one of which will be chipped.
Shente will stand on a podium with the light blazing on her as she does noble acts for those who now have a lower stature in society than her. The background is full of signs that represent capitalism to represent she is rising above it. In moments that Shui Ta does things for personal capitalist gain that aren't necessarily good in her eyes, the stage will darken. This is the outside of Shente's shop with a rustic, beat-down look. It shows the slums in a capitalist society. Shente's shop is made to look nicer than other sets. This will help the audience understand the newly found wealth that is changing her.
The first key moment we would like to focus on is the beginning of Scene 2, which is the entrance of Shui Ta. Since the prologue and first scene of the show, Shente has gone from being a poor prostitute who lives with the bare minimum into a wealthy woman who is working to make a standard living for herself. Although her status has changed, she is still seen to be the kind-hearted woman the three gods witnessed before they exited Earth. But she is still continued to be taken advantage of, which prompts her to transform into her distant cousin who goes by the name Shui Ta. This moment is important because it disrupts the status quo, which alters the lives of the people who take Shente for granted, and even changes the attitude of Shente herself. The second key moment we would like to dive into is the event that makes up the finale of Good Woman. After playing the role of her cousin, the small town Shente lives in becomes skeptical of the actions of Shui Ta, and ultimately come to a conclusion that he must have killed her and taken advantage of her status to gain a higher reputation. After the town collectively brought Shui Ta to court, in which the three gods from the beginning act as judges, Shente had enough of the charades and confesses that Shui Ta is Shente to the eyes of the gods. This moment is powerful for Shente, because she learns that her alter ego was her own true feelings put into another person, and for the audience, because her character is a great representation of all humanity. And even with her powerful message, this leaves the poor woman in the dark by herself as she delivers her final words to the audience.
Thank you for watching our presentation. We hope you enjoyed.